Welcome to the UpKeep Pledge Pros Podcast, a podcast dedicated to unmatched value and unwavering support for our customers and the community at large. Today, we have an industry professional and a manufacturing advocate. Nush, welcome to the Pledge Pros Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You are very, very welcome. You and I have connected several times through LinkedIn, through social media. We were both at IMTS together, although that was enormous. We did not get to actually run into each other at any point. But I know you were living your best life there. I saw lots of content from you, which is amazing. We have some mutual friends, and I really wanted to bring you on the show today to talk about your journey in manufacturing, being a woman in manufacturing, and what are your goals and ambitions and all these awesome things that can be leveraged from being in manufacturing in general. But before we do that, Nush, please tell me, what got you into manufacturing? What's the story surrounding that? And ultimately, where has the journey taken you so far?
So my story starts off very, very simple. While I was in automotive school, I really needed to pay my rent. So I just got on Indeed and looked up where I can make $18 an hour starting out. And it ended up being CNC machining. And I was like, no idea what this is, but it says you need mechanical aptitude. And I think I have that. I know how to use tools. And within like the first month, I realized how much I loved it, how much there was to learn, and sort of how much power you have knowing how to make things that you need for day-to-day life. So after that, after I graduated, I just kept looking at manufacturing positions and ended up evolving through there.
Cool. So let's go a little further back. What made you want to go to automotive school? Because I also went to automotive school after I dropped out of college. So what was your reason?
So in high school, I basically flunked out of computer science, somehow ended up in a pottery class, and then switched out of that into automotive. I needed a class to take that I knew I was going to pass. And I was into cars as a kid. I liked Hot Wheels. So I figured, learn how to change my own oil and change my tires and I'll be okay. And I realized I kind of excelled at the class, and my teachers were probably the most supportive teachers I'd ever had in my whole 4 years of high school. So I took the leap of faith and enrolled in NASCAR Technical Institute in Mooresville, North Carolina.
Cool.
And honestly, the rest is history. I just really loved it.
Yeah, that's what I did. I mean, I went to college for like 3 months, and then I was like, nope, not for
Yep.
me.
Nope.
I took automotive, I think ninth grade, but then it would like went away. They just stopped doing it.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. And I'd always tinkered with Jeeps and built Jeeps and things and fabrication and stuff like that. But that's great. I'm actively trying to nudge my daughter into like a manufacturing, engineering, mechanical, something. It's not working. It's not working at the moment, but I'm hoping that my persistence will get her like I got her mom. So hopefully it'll work out, right?
Hey,
So
hopefully if she sees me on TikTok in the future, maybe she'll get inspired. Maybe.
yeah, that's
That's the goal. That's the goal.
having representation, right?
Hmm.
Super valuable. So we went to automotive school. That's amazing. Then you got into CNC machining. That's also amazing. So what are we doing now? Where has the journey brought us?
Now I'm process quality and safety at a wood manufacturer. So I kind of oversee safety and quality for all of our projects. And I'm doing a lot of learning, really. This is the first time I'm ever doing something like this.
Sure.
So it's a lot of it's a lot more operational than it is actually like running machines, but I'm
Sure.
enjoying learning this process or this aspect of the industry.
Yeah, super important, right? All of those things are ingrained in any operation. Quality and
Mhm.
safety, right? Are we doing
And
things?
I feel like I'm getting a good, well-rounded
Yeah.
education right now.
Yeah. Are we doing the right things? Are we doing them safely? Are we operating machines correctly to get the proper quality? Do we have the right tolerances and QA checks and services? Um, so let me ask you this. Do you do any type of work with the maintenance department?
We do. I think we're like best friends basically.
That's good.
Because I'm new to like safety and he knows everything about like the fire extinguishers and the forklifts. I kind of have to get with him a lot to kind of understand everything that's going on. And actually, he's helping me do my forklift training. So there's that.
Good. Good. Like the OSHA forklift
Hmm.
training.
And yeah, so maintenance and quality are like hand in hand. Maintenance, quality, and safety hand in hand.
Yeah.
honestly, maintenance and manufacturing hand in hand. So I'm excited to also learn more about maintenance in the future.
Yeah, huge, awesome. That's where I spent my entire life is in maintenance, turning the wrenches, doing the work, leading the teams, building the programs.
And that
Um,
keeps the machines running.
oh my God, it's been the most rewarding thing ever. And I started out just like you at automotive school, right? So the sky is the limit. But yeah, I always like to bring up maintenance teams because, they are an integral part of all that dynamic, and they ensure that machines operate to their specified performance, right? And then the machines are able to give you the tolerances and the qualities that you need, right? So that's really, really good. Um, so that's where you're at now. That's awesome. All right. So, I'm going to ask this question.
Yes.
Being a female, a woman in manufacturing, in industry, in heavy industry, there are not a lot of you. There's a handful. I know a lot of them, but if you look at the broad spectrum, there are not a lot. How is that? How has it been being a woman in manufacturing, in machining, and all these things in such a male-dominated industry?
So it's actually great. Like, believe it or not. I get this question all the time, and if you had asked me this when I was in ninth grade, it would be a different answer. I would be saying a lot of different things. I would be very negative. I would be very anxious and uncomfortable. And at that time, there were a lot of men and boys that did aggravate me or test me. But now, as I'm getting older, there were so many men at IMTS that were actually so open to teaching me and excited to talk to me, not just because I'm a woman though, because they saw that I'm young and eager and interested. They overlooked my gender and saw this person wants this. And that first Monday, I was so intimidated. I was like, oh, I kind of like, I'm by myself walking in here. I don't want to be here right now. But I smiled at the first person and got his business card. And I realized, oh, they're all like this. They're all sweet, genuine people. And, but I only think that way because in tech school, the boys were not sweet, genuine boys. They
Yeah.
were very, you know,
Boys, they think they're cool and they know everything.
exactly.
Yeah,
And they,
I know. Yeah.
always gotta prove you wrong, or
Yeah.
you have to prove yourself that you know what you're doing. And that also, obviously, I'm not Caucasian, so I deal with that on my Bengali side as well. And that, I mean, it's like,
Sure.
that's okay. Like, there's so much more positive than there is negative, and I realize that now,
Yeah.
especially after IMTS, how much support that I received. I know that, like, it's
There's
great.
it is. And what that is, what you're experiencing is every person in maintenance and industry and manufacturing, people who've done the work, they've been there, the people you were talking to that have been in this industry for a long time, they like to see a representation of themselves in someone else, right? It's like this unspoken bond that we have because we've kind of done it, right? We've seen it, we've been a part of it. And I know for me, when I'm heavy in the diesel, heavy construction and mining industry. When I see young women and men who are interested in those things, I'm like, oh, yes, yes, let me,
And you latch on, yeah.
yeah, like come here. I want you to know the benefits and the value of all these things and how everything that, like, just take IMTS for example. Everything you witness at IMTS literally makes, keeps, maintains this world. Everything. And people, the people are there, they know that, right? But there's people outside looking in, they don't recognize that all the time.
Hmm.
So when you're walking around IMTS and all these people are like, "Whoa, she's probably the same mindset as me. Come talk. Let me show you things." There's that like unspoken mutual camaraderie that we have because we kind of think the same way, right?
Yeah, it's like a little family.
Yes,
Um, but I also, like, I did want to mention, yes, there are. I'm not going to overlook the negative aspects of being in a male-dominated industry. There's always going to be something to deal with. There's always going to be a man that's telling you you're doing your job wrong, or
sure.
somebody that's judging you. And again, if I was in ninth grade, I would be blowing up. I would be probably getting fired, yelling at my bosses. But I realized, like, as sad as it is, that's just life. And as long as my work ethic proves them wrong, I don't have to prove them wrong. My
That's right.
work will do the talking for me. It's and if you keep focusing on the negative, it gets more worse. It gets progressively worse. Or no, is that the right word?
it becomes your world, right?
It becomes your world. But if you focus on one positive thing every day, guarantee you're gonna notice a change in your mood, because that's how I feel. Like, I feel so
Yeah.
much happier because I'm blessed with all this support. I mean, I didn't have this 2 years ago, but you know.
Yeah. I like to say this, and if you don't know a woman named Millie Merrill, she's a heavy equipment mechanic, and I had her on the podcast. She's amazing, but she said something very similar, and my immediate response is, some people suck, and you just gotta ignore those people
Mhm.
and just keep on grinding because they're unfortunately they're not going to go away. And you having a strong head on your shoulders and knowing where you want to go, and you're in an awesome industry, you can just be like, whatever.
That's so funny you say that though, because like I like when I tell you I'm the like I used to be the weakest minded person ever, and I think being in this industry has taught me, like, I can't be like that. I know what I'm talking about. I have to be confident. Like,
Yes.
not the whole fake it till you make it attitude, but be confident.
Yes.
Um cuz cuz one person's sour mood used to set me off, and now it's like, no, I have to be the happy person for myself.
Right. And when we let those things bother us, we give those people certain types of control over us,
Mhm.
right? And there's a saying, it's like, don't ever get upset at the opinions of from people you wouldn't take advice from,
Yeah.
right? So I just don't like, for me, I haven't had anything like that. But when you talked about having to prove yourself, that is kind of a thing in this industry, though. People want to know that you know what you're doing. So that is kind of like an initial hump, regardless of if you're a female or a male or whatever, right? So that is something that kind of everybody has to get, over. But when you're a woman, it's kind of like a compounding thing. So
Yeah.
so your mindset really helped you rise above all that dumb stuff and just
Mhm.
go, hey, I know what I'm doing. Like, just whatever.
But I also had a very open learning mindset. Like, I'm
Yeah,
very open to be taught. So I
true.
think that's also what kind of helped. People didn't see me and they're like, "Oh, she's snobby and knows, and thinks she knows what she's talking about." I was very like, "No, I don't know. Please teach me. I want to learn." And that's kind of like my secret. If that's my secret, like, to get people to yap to you, just tell them, like, "Hey, can you please explain this?" And then they're on your good side basically, or you're on their good side basically.
Yeah, people love to
Talk
teach.
about what they love. Yeah, they
Yeah,
love to
talk
talk
about
about
what
what
they
they love.
like. Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
that's like sales tactics will be like, get them talk, get them talking about themselves. People love to talk about themselves, right? So,
Yeah.
but no, that is being coachable and having aspirations to learn and know things you don't know, because you don't know what you don't know, right?
Hmm.
And you won't, to your point, you won't know what you don't know unless you're vulnerable enough to go out and seek it out, right?
Yes.
So if we walk around, and I've been that person. When I was in the Navy, I was a flight deck troubleshooter. So I ran the flight deck of an aircraft carrier troubleshooting machines. There's only four on the ship. So I was like, oh, I'm the best dude ever. I'm the best mechanic on the ship, blah, blah, blah. But no one wanted to talk to me. It didn't matter what I knew, but I
Yeah.
didn't have any good relationships because I just thought I was like the baddest dude, right? It took a long time for me to realize, like, whoa, you can be good and also be a good person and have good
Hmm.
communication skills, right? But you didn't do that, which is awesome. I learned the hard way. So I want to ask you before we move on to the next thing. I want to ask you, behind you, you have a very cool hobby.
Oh, this little thing.
Could you explain your hobby to us?
Yes, I'm a serial crocheter. I
Nice.
love this stuff. I make scrunchies, bandanas, what is it? Hair bands. I make little F bombs, mushrooms, cherries, flowers. I'm like all over the place.
Mushrooms are cool.
The mushrooms are very nice.
Can you make letters in your crocheting?
Yes, the I'll show you my little letter F's right now for the F bombs. You can't really see it, but
Cool.
it's a letter F.
Yeah.
You can
So
barely see it. I'm not gonna lie, but
we'll have to talk because us upkeepers, we love cool stuff. And
okay.
you see my little geary symbol or little gear symbol
I
behind
do.
me.
I do.
You crochet some stuff like that, you might get some hardcore business from Upkeep.
Okay. I mean, I can make a heart. Let me learn how to make a gear, and I'll make you a couple.
Man, you're in manufacturing. Gear should have been the first thing to pop in your head to start
I
crocheting.
know. I know, but I'm not gonna lie. It's like, oh wait, actually, now I can kind of, okay. This is the cool part about crocheting too. I can kind of tie it in really easily to manufacturing because before I couldn't think of the pattern program to make a gear, but now that I just thought about, now that we're just talking about it, I'm thinking, oh, I could start off a coaster and then add the little nubs, you know, instead of, I'm sorry, this is gonna sound crazy,
Yeah,
but I could picot them,
yeah,
which is a stitch in crochet, and like that's like
yeah, of
part of my process. I don't know. It's
course.
like
Well,
I'd be tying it in because I'm like, here's my material, and then the process, finished product,
yeah, it's a manufacturing.
tooling, that
Yeah.
sort of stuff.
So
It's
we
really
went
fun.
thinking about crocheting and fabric and things. I live near Bethlehem Steel, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. It's like, I don't know, like an hour and a half north of me, but they have a really awesome museum there. And they had some of the original, what do they call the shuttle bobs or whatever, the machines that were making fabric.
Oh,
Like, and talking about a program, they had these paper cards that a person would make these cards, and this card would feed into the machine, and that was the pattern to make. It was like someone's going to correct me because I'm not an expert in this whatsoever. Um, but it was kind of like the machine read this paper card, and based on the holes or the orientation of this paper card, that's how it would weave the fabric.
oh, okay. I'm gonna have to look into that because
It
that sounds cool.
it was wild.
Knitting machines are also really cool. Just that whole like
It's wild.
fiber arts, it's crazy.
Yeah, this is too much for me. I'm not that creative.
I'm not that creative either. I just ended up making it happen, and I'm like, oh, well, this is like fun.
Yeah, I can weld, I can fabricate, I can manual machine, um,
That's creative. That's literally art right there.
right? But I do not know anything about CNC like your world. I do not know anything about. I know what the tools are, tool change, how to maintain the things, but code and like just so much
It
setting
is
all
a
that
lot.
stuff
It
up.
is a lot.
So do you get into some of that?
Um, Not currently. So at my old job where I was a Swiss operator, I would kind of get into tweaking the program. But since I didn't actually have a trainer, all I was doing was getting pre-written programs and then just setting the machines up for different locks.
That's
So
cool.
it was more of just learning how to set them up as
Yeah.
opposed to programming them. But it was still fun. It was still like really exciting. Um,
All that has to be right for the program to function correctly anyway,
yeah,
right?
you're right. You're right.
So programming can
But I
they
mean, like if the program, there's been a couple of times where like the program was written incorrectly, or like there's been a couple lines that have been missing. So like I guess I did have some experience like adding some lines in, but other than that,
that's awesome. Everything
it's fun.
everything everything has this in industry has this like symbiotic relationship, right? It's like you can't have awesome code in a CNC machine if you can't set up the fixtures and set the machine correctly, right? And you can't
Mhm.
have awesome setting up of a machine and fixtures and tooling and change outs and all that stuff if you don't have the right code.
Yeah.
So there's like this really hardcore symbiosis there, which is awesome. It's more of that interconnected of everything, right? Like we talked about IMTS, where like you're talking to people who know the world is literally goes around because of industries like yours and mine and where we are. Um, that's amazing. So I have another question for you.
Yes. Yes.
What are your goals and ambitions in industry? What do you want to do? Where do you want to be? If we could wave a wand right now and put you where you'd like to be, where would it be?
I would love to teach. I would love to be some online presence that learns from my day-to-day job and then can teach to people my age what manufacturing is. I would love to have my own machine and be able to make content about it so that I can share it with the world what exactly it is to manufacture parts and show them if you're passionate in something, you could probably make something for it. Like, for example, I like cars, I can make car parts. Or if I had a 3D printer, I can make my own stitch markers. And if you don't know what a stitch marker is, it's basically a little tool that marks your stitch while you're crocheting or knitting so you don't lose your spot. But
Hmm.
there's a whole community of people out there that like that kind of stuff. And if they know that that stuff is out there, they would definitely be more interested in it. So just posting about that and talking about that would be fun.
So you would like to be the conduit to the new generation of potential engineers, manufacturers, CNC operators.
That's a fun way to put it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be
taking
cool.
taking the knowledge of industry, which is going away, by the way. We have a massive exodus of knowledge that's retiring, right? Taking all of those tricks and tips and things and being the conduit to a younger generation in terms and in optics that they understand, right?
Yes, yeah. Or like also what you're saying about the older generation leaving. I would kill to be able to talk to some of them and ask them, "Hey, can I record you working, like some clips of you working and share this to the internet?" Because the amount of times I've watched some of my old trainers set up something and I'm like, if I had a video of that and I posted that, the amount of people that you would help is astronomical. So
Yeah.
that's another thing. Like, what is that saying? When you lose an elder, you lose a library.
Hmm.
There's a saying, when you lose an elder, you lose a library. These are libraries that we're losing.
Yeah.
So we
That's
got to get on
everywhere.
it. It's everywhere.
It's not just machining and manufacturing, it's everywhere. And you know, we in maintenance and in industry, we spend a lot of time trying to come up with ideas how to either replace those people with equally skilled and knowledgeable people, or how to train those people, how to get the right people in, like yourself, that will actually go the distance and absorb and learn all those things and do the right things. It's a very big mountain to climb. But there are people like you who want to go, hey, tell me everything. Put it on me. I want to know, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to show other people. So let me ask you this. Do you think it would be beneficial for you to start small in as in like 3D printing and then start that
Yeah,
and then
actually.
slowly work your way into maybe like a manual mill, like a Bridgeport, and then maybe get like a South Bend old mechanical lathe?
So it's funny you say that because I have an idea for a TikTok that I'm going to be making, but it involves a 3D printer and a very popular trend that's going on TikTok. And I think, like, in my head, I'm like, it's the perfect way to get, especially women my age, because this trend is like this trend appeals to them. Um, I would 3D print little models of, oh my god, I don't know how to say it without kind of giving away the idea for
You
my
don't have to tell
TikTok,
us. You don't have to tell
but
us.
it's a great idea with the 3D printer. And I'm
Sure.
already like, I was texting somebody about like, what 3D printer do you think can make this kind of model? And he already gave me some ideas, so it's very funny you say that actually, but that's the plan. 3D
I'm
printer
reading your
first.
mind.
You're literally reading my mind. Yep.
So, do you have a 3D printer?
I don't actually.
Okay. All right. I'll keep that in mind.
Okay.
So, that would be the ambition, right? To be that conduit, to be that, I don't like to use the word influencer, but to be that teacher that people
Yes.
can know and
I
follow.
don't like that word either. I'm like, I don't want to influence, and I also don't like that word. It's so negative, but and like sometimes I feel like content creators also a little bit weird,
Yeah,
which is why I kind of decided on manufacturing advocate because I'm like, oh, there's like not really any way you could make that negative. It doesn't make me
right.
seem like I have a big head, and it doesn't make me seem like I'm BSing and
Sure.
advocating for the industry. That's it.
Yeah. You're
That's
an
it.
educator.
Almost, almost. I
Good.
wouldn't give myself that big of a head yet.
Hey, we're talking
Not
about
just yet.
aspirations here and ambitions,
Oh, you're right. You're right.
right?
Aspirations and ambitions. You're right. I do want to be an educator.
You could be the educator. And I think it would be good. And I think that, you being the age I assume you are, we don't have to talk about how old you are, that you would have this good line of sight to the appropriate people, right?
How old do you think I am? I'm just wondering.
I have no idea.
I'm 21, but I'm curious because every
I was
single
gonna
time I talked about my age, people were like,
I was
I,
gonna say like 24.
I like that. I like
Yeah,
that.
like 20. We'll just say you're 24.
Works with me. Because at IMTS, people are like, "Are you even old enough to be here?" And I'm like, "Yes, dude. I don't need a work permit to be here."
Yeah.
It was jokes, but
No, it's good, but that just speaks more to this, right? It makes it even more important that you're even younger, right? When
right.
I was 18, I was like washing dishes at like a Ruby Tuesday and like going to seriously going
What
to
is a Ruby Tuesday?
it's like a Applebee's or like a TGI
Oh, okay,
Fridays.
okay, 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 okay.
Yeah, I was washing dishes to go to a community college that I hated and I didn't want to be there to begin with. And then I would go home and I'd turn wrenches on my Jeep. And that was like happiness for me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hold on. Actually, I started out in high school. I was working at CVS, so I mean, like, I had my fair share of customer service, and I was like, never. That was when I decided I'm never working with people again. No, like, no.
Well, it seems like you're pretty good at working with people now that you know what you like and love, right?
Yeah, it's very different when you're actually happy in life. The people
Yeah.
make you happy too.
Yes. Well, you're allowing yourself to be happy because you're in the
Right.
company of what you love,
Yes, you're right.
right?
I'm manifesting all this positivity. That's
Yes.
that's what's happening.
Yeah, like me, like I own a shop. When I go to my shop and I've got machines in there that I need to work on, I walk in there and people view that as dirty work. I walk in there and I'm like, heaven, bring on the work. I
I
love
see
it.
that and I'm like, look at all that power. Like
Yeah.
not to make it about power, but that's power right there. You have creative power, literally.
Well, I like to see it, and this is why I love women in industry and why I push my daughter a whole lot. Is I love the self-sufficiency of it. I love that I don't need to rely on people for these types of things, right?
Mhm.
I mean, just like you, if you need to replace the brakes on your car, you're not going to have to go, the dealership or the shop would charge you six, $700 to do that. You could go to the parts store and get your parts for $120 and do it yourself. You're sufficient, you're independent, you're strong, you're able to do these things on your own. And those skills that you've learned, and I say this damn near every podcast, the skills of industry and manufacturing and trades are transferable to your personal life. They teach you things about theory and mechanical principles and hydraulics and electrical principles that you can apply everywhere. And you become even more self-sufficient. That's amazing.
I have a really funny little segue real quick
Sure.
because I'm like all of a sudden I'm always thinking about manufacturing and processes because I'm watching YouTube. Why
Welcome
am
to
I
the
watching?
club. You're a junkie now.
No, it's so bad. Please stop it. Because why am I watching YouTube and it's a small business girl and like people are commenting like, "Oh my god, you're so good at knowing like everything that's like going on with your business." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's like she has an ERP in her head." And people are responding, "What's an ERP? What is that?" And I'm like,
Yep.
"Perfect time to drop some education real quick."
Yeah.
So like I spent like probably 2 days responding to comments and like typing out what an ERP is, which now I'm looking back, it's like very nerdy of me. But
That's
I
okay.
mean, in a way, I was complimenting her. Like in your head,
Yes.
there's a whole like application system. Like good
Yeah.
on you. But
She's running a business. A business is
yeah.
more than just turning out parts, right?
Mm-hmm. And
And
I'm learning that. I'm learning that after trying to launch my little crochet thing. It is a lot more than just.
it's a lot, right? You got
Mhm.
materials. What's the cost? What's my material cost versus my labor cost versus my finished product cost? How do I keep track of all
Mhm.
these things? Do I
And
inventory
my
my?
time, my quality.
Yeah.
how can I lay out my desk better to make things faster? Like I'm like, why am I doing a time study on my crochet process right now? Like
Because you're in
that's
quality.
crazy.
That's why.
That's crazy to me. I was like, oh God, I need to stop.
Yeah. We used to do time studies at the port. They'd always be like, all right, we can load out this many trucks and it's this round trip. They'd have people with stopwatches and timing the load zone and the dump zone and the travel just to shave off 10 minutes over like a 4 hour period, you know?
Oh damn.
Wild stuff. Nush, I'm so glad that we had the chance to connect.
Me
Um,
too.
we did play a bit of tag, which is so funny because we ended up at the same place anyway at IMTS. Um, I just want to say that I'm so grateful to have met you and that you're able here to tell some of your story and what you're doing now and be a voice and an advocate for not just industry professionals, but young women and ladies and people who have now a representation of our industry through you, right?
Mhm.
Super, super important. One day, my little girl might be watching your TikTok videos going,
Hopefully.
you know her? I'm trying to be a CNC machinist. And then I'll go, yes, right? Win,
Hopefully. I mean, that's the goal. That's the goal. Thank you
total
so
win.
much for having me. It was so nice to like
You're
actually like I'm like after IMTS finally relaxing and talking to somebody, it's nice. Thank you.
I love that. And I'll give you the last word. If anybody wants to talk, connect, maybe have you shoot some content for them, stuff like that. How can they connect with you?
I'm on LinkedIn. You can look me up at Nush Ahmed. I think Miss Swiss is still in my tagline, so you can also find me there. Instagram Nushrat Ahmed, or no, Instagram is Nushrat Ah. Nushrat AH is my Instagram. So yeah, and TikTok is 333V Noosh. If you
Nice.
want
You
to
know,
follow me.
Upkeep has a TikTok. I provide them with content because I know industry and they do memes and stuff.
I
It's really
bet I'm gonna follow you right now.
I don't have one, but they do. So please follow Upkeep on TikTok.
Okay.
And then I follow us on Instagram, Upkeep as well. And then I will also follow you personally so I keep tabs on you. We can make sure we can maybe get some things going. So, Noosh, thank you so much. On behalf of Upkeep, thank you so much. We really, really appreciate it. And we will see you on the next one.
Thank you.
See ya.